Rodmas. A cloud had rolled in over Yorkshire, and entry countryside seemed flat and colourless. Even the birds in the trees were strangely silent. It had rained all night, and was still raining now, the water sprouting out of the rusty drain pipes, trickling across the window, falling into the puddles that reflected a grey and hostile sky. Matt woke up and shivered. He was back at Ives Hall, lying on a rusty, sagged bed. He had been moved to a room next door to Noah on the first floor of the barn. There was no heating, and he had only one thick blanket. He looked at his watch. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. He sat up very slowly. His neck ached. His shoulder was so bruised that he could barely move his arms, and he could feel a scar on his face where the wing of the pterodactyl had caught him. His clothes were torn, dirty and damp. He stretched his arms and rotated his shoulders, trying to work some warmth into his muscles. It was Saturday, April 13th. Professor David had given the day a name. Rodmas, some sort of witches' festival. This was what everything had been leading to. In 24 hours it would be all over. Matt got up and went to the window. It looked over the farmyard, where a couple of pigs shuffled about in their sty. Otherwise there was nobody in sight. This was his second day of captive. He had only been let out of the room to use the toilet, with Noah standing guard outside the door. It was also Noah who brought him his meals on paper plates with plastic knives and forks. There had been no signs of Mrs. Devereux, but he had seen lights going on and off in the farmhouse during the night, and no tree was close. Richard had been killed. That thought unhurt him more than anything. It seems to Matt that anyone who had shown him any kindness had died, and now he was finally on his own, but he was determined to fight back. It was if Miss Devereux thought she could just drag him into the wood and stick a knife in him. She had a surprise coming her way. He had already started. He was getting out. Matt listened carefully for any sound in the barn. There was nothing. Apart from the grunting of pigs, it would be at least an hour. Noah brought his breakfast. He pulled back the mattress and removed a piece of iron about 10 centimeters long and flattened at one end. Other than the bed, there was no furniture in the room, nothing he could use to break out, but the bed itself had provided him with a tool. A metal bar that supported one of the legs. It had taken Matt most of the first day to work it freely, and another 2 hours to squeeze one leg flat, using his own weight and legs, so that it now resembled a crude chisel on the wall, but it had soon discovered they were too strong. Instead, he had turned his attention to the floor. The bedroom floor was made up of parallel wood planks, each one fixed in place with a dozen nails working. During the night, Matt had managed to free 9 of the nails on one plank. There more than he would be able to lift it out. If he could make a hole big enough, he would be able to squeeze through and drop down to the level below. That was his plan. He pulled back the old colourless rug that covered the floor and set to work. The makeshift chisel was a clumsy tool, and it was almost impossible to get underneath the edge of the nails. It had slipped several times, and Matt's knuckles had crushed into the floor until the skin was broken and bleeding. He had to be careful not to make any noise. That was the worst of it. Working quietly meant working slowly, and he was aware of the time running out. He gritted his teeth and tried to concrete on what he was one nail and another come out. Almost an hour had passed since he had woken up, but at least the plank come free. He praised it out and looked through the narrow gap he had made. He saw at once that his plan was hopeless. He was too high up. If he tried to drop down the gap to ground level, he'd twist an ankle or even break a leg. He felt a wave of despair rise. Up inside him, why did nothing ever seem to go his way? He thought he hit back. He wasn't going to give up now. Maybe there was another way. His power. The blind medium Susan Ashwood had told him what he already know himself. I felt your power. I have never felt such strength before. That was what she had said just before he had left her house. And he remembered the Professor David had looked at him at the museum farm. He had wondered if the professor was even in some way afraid of him. Matt was different. Matt was different. He had known that all his life. He had seen both of his parents before he had happened here. He had dreamt all the details right down to the bridge and blown out tire. He had sensed there was a security guard at the warehouse. Seconds before the man had accurately appeared, he had struck at the directions and destinations, and he had without even opening his mouth. Then the 3 boys and girl calling to him with him that mid-5. He sat down on the bed and concentrated on the door. If he couldn't break a jug, why couldn't he turn a lock? It was just a question of finding the power inside him and activating it. He remembered that last time he had tried this morning when he had woken up in Richard's flat. It didn't work. It didn't work. Subscribe. Subscribe it, bell, share, like, watch some other videos. Thank you.